end of April, like the 23rd, April 23rd, that's what it is. Yeah, that light is only a little bit better. It is fully starting to become spring, and I have been AWOL from my channel because in July I decided to go back to work full-time. And I started at an ambulance service, one of those private ambulance services, and that was not a good fit at all. And they did not treat me well at all. And I don't have to work, but I like to travel, and I like to shop, and I like to have that financial cushion. And so going back to work made sense. But I needed to find a better fit. And there goes Miley. She is off to an eye doctor appointment before she leaves for Alaska to work at a zip line in Alaska. Fun thing to do when you're young. Better to do it when you're young, because yeah, life doesn't always let things like that happen. So many projects here, but then to continue, by October I knew I needed to do something different. So I looked around and found some opportunities and decided on one in the neighboring county. So I'm back to full-time. I won't go into where I work or what I do, but yeah, it's full-time, and that doesn't leave a lot of time for all the projects that we have still to do around here, but most of the big stuff is done, so I just have to carefully schedule what I do when I don't have to work. Tim also went back to work part-time, and it's at a hardware store, and he seems to be mostly enjoying that. Again, it was to have money to pay for these extra projects. For instance, I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it from here. I'll walk over here and show it to you. Okay, let me turn it around. That side of the house right there was badly damaged before we moved in. Right up at that corner up above the roof line for the old section of the house, right up there, a family of raccoons chewed their way into the house. I don't know at what point they got in there. It might have happened while the former residents were still here. Seems like it probably did, because of the amount of work it would have taken those raccoons to get in there, and they pretty typically would have been looking for a place to spend the winter, and so I would imagine it probably happened in the fall, but I don't really know. But it created a big old hole, and then they got in between the first and second floor of the two-story addition and tore up the insulation, pulled out the ducting, and in general just made a huge mess. Don't know how much of the wiring they might have damaged, but we haven't found anything yet that they damaged as far as wiring. Now in behind here is kind of an open space that goes up to the second story. It's where the chimney for the fireplace that's in this room, it comes out up there, and so this whole space here is open. And so he pulled the cabinet out of the first floor bathroom, and behind that was that open space, and so he was able to get in there and fix some of the damage and get some of it cleaned up. When we first moved in, we had already had a trapper come out and trap the raccoon. But we then had another one, probably the mate, that we had to make leave. And so, the story on that goes that Tim discovered raccoons do not like the sound of the human voice, and if they hear you, they will run away. And so if you take a talk radio channel on a portable radio and play it, they won't like it, they'll leave. So he stuck it inside that room, that area, that open space, and it just went for a whole day, and it worked. Raccoon left, never came back, and so we closed it up with a couple metal panels until last summer, when all of the stucco was pulled down because that thing had torn up a lot of the insulation in here. So we really had to pull out the wallboard, the insulation, and take off the stucco. And so now it's been re-boarded and re-insulated, but now we need to apply new stucco. So that's this summer's big project, one of them. But the animals did a lot of damage to this property. And it takes money to repair that kind of damage. We've also got trim work that needs to be replaced. And Saturday we're having a tree expert come out to finally deal with a couple of big tree problems, like this guy up here. If you look at it, it's all bent over. So that needs to be trimmed off. We want to take it back about halfway and then start to encourage it to grow up. So we've got that, and then behind that you will see another large tree, and that large tree is growing right up against the back of the solarium. We don't know why the original owners didn't remove that tree, but they didn't. And from the solarium, from inside the solarium, you can't really see it. We saw that it was there, and we were assured it was dead. And it just was going to be a matter of taking it down. Well, as you can see, it is definitely not dead. It is fully alive. And aside from the fact that it is a danger falling on the house, and the fact that it's the kind of tree that drops all of its branches all the time, and they get everywhere, it is also uncomfortably close to our septic tank, which is underneath that. And so it must go permanently. So they're coming out on Saturday to take care of that. And as you can see, the chickens do enjoy the dirt around that tree. That's Apollo. He is one of only 2 roosters we have left. Had to part with Rufio. I don't know if anybody remembers Rufio, but for the last 2 years, Rufio has been challenging me. Nobody else, just me. I'm obviously the one he considers to be a challenge, and that he has to show his dominance. But in the process of doing that, he was becoming dangerous for me, and I didn't like it because I like to be around my chickens, and I don't like anything preventing me. So Rufio met his maker this fall. We had a few other roosters that also had to go because they were hatched last spring, and I watched their behavior to see which ones were going to be good replacements for him, because I knew he was probably going to have to go. And we chose one, kept Apollo because we like Apollo. We chose one that's a white Easter egger. Very strange combination, because he is crossed with a white Cochin rooster. So he is a white Cochin Easter egger rooster. And behind me is Miss Betty, This is her time to be outside. She doesn't love it, but it's her time to be out here. She spends a fair amount of time in the house with us, but she does have a job to do. So she has to be out here a certain amount of time. Now, I have had to part with Judy. That was very, very difficult. But we found a family that loves her. She has a little 3-year-old girl that she plays with and she adores. And the parents really wanted a Pyrenees and knew what they were doing, knew what they were getting into. So she's happy where she is. Betty gets a little lonely, so she comes in the house with us, especially if it's stormy. She'll be in the house with us. But we are going to be combining Betty with the chickens probably this year. First, we have to really get her used to being around them and not playing with them. Huh, Betty? But that's just gonna take time and working with her. Oh, Miss Betty. Yeah. I know. And this year we're going to be making the quail enclosure finished. I'm getting those last 2 big sections fenced in. Getting solid sides and roof on it, so that they have twice as much space and good solid structure. And then same thing with the chicken run. Nice solid sides and a solid roof on it. That should make it look nice. And the chickens really destroyed this, but the grass is starting to kind of come back. I threw a bunch of grass seed in here. I'm hoping it's supposed to be the really good high traffic grass. Hopefully that's true, but they really just destroyed the grass. They destroyed it here too, but here it comes. Nice green grass, got a couple little pine trees in there. Yeah, we're gonna be reconfiguring fencing, moving that little bridge into my garden, and this is one of the leftover pieces of my greenhouse that was destroyed by the wind last spring. And there's a bunch more pieces. And Tim says he's going to build me a whole new greenhouse. We'll see how that goes. But we did mostly finish. We still have some work to do on it. A wood pallet pathway, because this gets really muddy in the spring. And this way, we don't ever have to walk in the mud. It is starting to grow grass underneath it. That's okay with me. We've got more pallets and getting more yet to finish it off, fill in all the gaps. So there you have it. Full-time working for me, part-time for Tim. Holly started a new job. She starts in about a week. And so all of our usual time is going to be spent trying to keep up on what we need to keep up on. And hopefully we can. We do intend to try to hire some people to come out and do some things. Some of the bigger projects that we won't have time for, and we're both getting too old for that. And we're both in our 60s. We're in good shape, but you know, time does march on. Anyone thinking of doing this full time in your 60s, I recommend that you scale it to what you can personally handle, or have some income where you can pay somebody to do some of the work for you. That's the only smart way to do it. And here we have the Delilah garden. I planted a ground cover around her, and I've covered it with netting to keep the chickens out while it establishes itself. It struggled a little bit getting going, but it seems like it's going, so that's good. Pulled out all of the old lighting and pump wiring. Don't know what we're going to do with all that, but we don't want it. But yeah, here's some of the ground cover. Seems like it's rallying back. It's just been really wet. So that'll pretty much wrap it up. Maybe I'll do a tour of all the things that I've planted and things that I'm doing. But for now, the weather is just getting to where we can start walking across the ground without squishing and start working in the garden without sinking in the mud. So now's the time to get going. Oh, there's my boy. I'll have to show him to you. There's BG. She is always dirty. She's always taking dirt baths all the time, and she gets dirty. That sound, I think, is my rooster making that growly sound. That's him right there. You see he's got feathery feet, but he's got that Easter egger beard. His mother is probably Tinsel, and his father was Bjorn. For now, he seems to have been pretty chill. And we'll see as he matures if he stays that way. Well, good morning, Emily. He's telling the girls that he has found some worms, and they will come a-running. Or at least he found something. Maybe it's seeds. Not sure what that is. I guess she's the only one that heard him. But that's the sound they make when they're telling their girls that they found something. Hello, Miss Frizzle. Apparently he's going to show off for you. But that's the update for now. Stay tuned for more videos. I do intend to get back to doing them. I do intend to make a bunch of shorter ones than this. Have a great day.